Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Captain's Table. I am your host, Captain B-Nard, and today we are going to be taking a look at an older and a newer version of the WWE World Championship replica belts. This is going to be the final installment in this series of videos where I compare and contrast older and newer versions of title belts. I'm going to do this the same way that I've done the other ones, just kind of go over everything I like and don't like about these title belts, and then try to pick an overall winner at the end. The two titles that we have to look at today are on the top, we have the old school WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt. This is also known as the Big Gold Belt. It has represented the World Heavyweight Championship for many different promotions over many different years. I believe it started out in NWA and then eventually WCW and then eventually WWE. So very long and storied history behind this design of this championship. This specific version of the championship was on TV from 2002 until 2013, I believe, when it was deactivated. However, the physical belt did still appear on TV as part of the unified or undisputed World Championship belt alongside the then version of the WWE Championship belt. And then those two belts were actually both directly replaced by the belt at the bottom of your screen there. That is the WWE Network Logo Championship belt. And that was on TV from 2015, I want to say, all the way up until 2024. Just last year, it was actually replaced, although there have actually been several design iterations of that championship. So that is the blackstrap version, obviously, and then we had the Universal Championship, which was the same design but with a different color scheme. There was the red strap version, the blue strap version, and then eventually last year at some point that championship was replaced entirely. It was held alongside the blue strap Universal Championship for a year or two, I believe, on TV, and then replaced by the Undisputed Championship, which is basically the exact same title, except it has a gold background behind the W, and then the diamonds on the W are actually black diamonds, I believe. So the top belt on your screen had about an 11-year run on TV. I guess 12 if you count that it was appearing as part of the unified or undisputed title after it was deactivated. And then the belt on the bottom of the screen had technically, I want to say, about a 9-year run on TV, give or take, although it is still technically kind of on TV, just a different version of the title. Having said all of that, we are going to go ahead and focus in here. We're going to do a kind of a side-to-side sweep of both titles here. And then we are going to go ahead and focus in on the older version of the championship to start out, the World Heavyweight Championship. So, starting on the left-hand side, of course, you can see the male snap box here, flat belt tip, but there is a lot of nice tooling and designs on the side here. And of course the male snap box, which is, I believe, a 2x8 here, which is pretty standard. Nothing crazy going on here. Just your typical design and tooling around this section of the championship. Usually on this side of the belt, there's really not much going on, typically speaking, on any championship belt. But then we get to some more design and tooling. It has these nice little designs here and also a clamshell tooling, which was very typical of championship belts of the time. The older championship belts had the clamshell tooling more commonly. But then we get to the first side plate here. And so as you can see, this thing is absolutely massive. It is very long. One thing I will note about the plates on this title to start is that these plates are very thin, actually. So we'll kind of tip it up so you guys can see. But yeah, these title belt plates on this championship are very thin, but very nicely designed, I must say. You see the rubies in the corners, obviously, which is a great design. You see the wrestlers in the middle, obviously, and then just a whole lot of designs throughout the plate, which is really nice. I will say the designs on this title particularly are some of the best we've ever seen, which is probably why this title in so many different iterations lasted so long and so many different promotions. But yeah, just really nice aesthetic overall. And like I said, very long plate, although a very thin plate. And that theme is going to continue throughout this championship as we get to the center plate here. And I can't hardly fit the center plate on the screen here because it is absolutely massive, as you can see. So yeah, we're going to try to see if we can get a shot without the glare. But yeah, it's very reflexive, obviously. So glare is a little bit of an issue sometimes. But yeah, this is the side plate, or the center plate, I should say, and it's absolutely massive, as you can see. We're gonna back up a little because maybe that'll help it. Kinda, not really, but yeah. So obviously you have all these designs: the WWE old logo, the scratch logo, World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. The crown, the globe, all the rubies around the side obviously are very nice. Custom nameplate, as was the standard of the time, obviously, for the championship belts. I have a Randy Orton nameplate on mine, as he is definitely one of the most prominent world champions in the history of the company, actually the youngest one, and this was the version of the title that he won all the way back in 2004. From a wrestler whose name shall not be uttered, Chris Benoit. Sorry. So yeah, really nice looking aesthetic overall. Like I said, the designs on this thing are amazing. I don't know how well they come across on camera, and with the glare, obviously, there's a little bit of glare. But the designs are just amazing on this thing. Really can't ask for much more. Just a great amount of detail on this thing. Then, of course, we come to the other side, which is, again, the identical mirrored side plate on this side of the title. Same thing, kind of thing going on here. I did want to show you guys, though, moving back to the center plate, actually, I wanted to show you that there is kind of a little bit of a curve to this thing, which was actually put in by yours truly, because when this thing comes off of WWE Shop, the plates are actually flat as a pancake, and so the only good thing is, because they are thin, they are able to be bent. So you can actually, and a lot of collectors I've seen do this, you can actually remove the center plate from the title and kind of just bend it yourself a little bit to give it a little bit of a curve. And so that's what I did. That would not work out with pretty much any other championship, but because these plates are so big and thin, it kind of works. So yeah, but I did just want to show you guys that reoccurring theme on this title belt. And so, yeah, obviously we have the mirrored side plate on this side, very nice identical designs. And then it strap tapers off again to the female snap box, which is a pretty standard 2x5 on this side as well. All the while the same tooling and designs on this side. And then we come to the end, which is just a very flat belt tip, nothing crazy going on here, just a flat black belt tip. So nice looking title overall. Pros and cons of this title to me, I would say, so the pros, from an aesthetic perspective, design-wise, I think this thing is absolutely amazing. Like I said, the amount of detail on this thing is incredible, especially for the time, because like I said, this title was originally designed in the 80s, I think. And then obviously there's been a lot of different versions of it, but they've all been the same basic version of the title. So, really a very tried and true design for a heavyweight championship belt. Size-wise, I would say it's got a pretty good size, weight, and feel to it. One of the criticisms that I've had of the older championships, specifically the older United States Championship with the thin plates, I would say that criticism doesn't really apply to this thing, just due to the fact that these plates are so big that it kind of makes up for the thinness, and it kind of just fits with the aesthetic of the title. So I don't really view that as a negative on this specific title belt. I would say one of the bigger negatives that I have, and it's something that I haven't really shown you guys because we're not really looking at the backs of these titles, but the back of this title, rather than being like a black leather, is actually like a red like crocodile print almost, which I think is kind of stupid, and I don't really like it very much. And also, I guess the other criticism of this title I have is that there is no belt tip, although I can't be too hard on it because most of the titles of the time did not have the golden belt tip. So I do think the golden belt tip would make this thing look better, but it doesn't have that. So, but overall, really nice looking title. You can see why it's been around for so long and why it was around for so long on TV, because it's just a beautiful looking piece of hardware. So, having said that, we are going to move down to the newer version, as it is affectionately referred to, the WWE Network logo championship. And so we are going to start on the left-hand side once again with the strap and the male snap box. So again, we have a standard 2x8 male snap box on this side. Again, nothing really crazy going on over here. It's nice enough. You've got not really much of any tooling over on this side of the title, as opposed to the older version. There was a lot of, there was more tooling, I would say. On this side, not so much. But then when we come to the area right before the center plate, or the first side plate, I should say, there is actually a big increase in tooling where you have the WWE Network logo and a lot of nice tooling around this, gap in between the snap box and the first side plate. So that's pretty nice. Coming to the first side plate, you will see it is really stacked out with jewels and gold. Obviously, we have custom side plates on either side. This one is going to be the Eddie Guerrero custom side plate. Another great wrestler historically. Obviously, we can't really count that toward the overall design of the championship because that could be anything. But I think that this really works on this title because there's not a ton of color on this title, at least in this area. So having a side plate that has this additional color really makes it pop. But the jewels and the layout of the jewels are really nice on this thing. And then when we get to this part of the championship, we do see the clamshell tooling return. And so that is pretty nice over here. Obviously, you can see that on top as well and on the sides. So pretty nice design, pretty good size to this side plate as well. And as you can see, as I will show you guys, there's a lot more depth to this side plate and the main plate as well. We'll see in a second than there was for the old championship, which is a big selling point for me. I like plates that are a little thicker, have a little more mass to them. But yeah, moving along, then we get the side bar. So I think this was one of the first championships to have, if not, I don't think it was the first. I think the version of the WWE title that preceded this also had sidebars, but this was kind of the continuation of the sidebar style. Very basic and flat sidebar here, so nothing crazy, just kind of a gold bar to give a little bit of a filler in between the side plate and the center plate. Nothing crazy going on there. When we get to the center plate is absolutely massive. And as you can see, this is kind of the big feature of this championship, is that it is really stacked out. The W is stacked out with diamonds. It has the nice red swoosh under the logo, which is really nice. Of course, you can see it says World Heavyweight Champion on the bottom in small letters, which I think actually works kind of for the aesthetic of this belt. This is kind of a pretty basic design. I mean, there's nothing crazy going on here. So the big selling point of this title is not necessarily that it has an intricate or complex design to it, because it doesn't. It's just a giant logo. But how decorated that logo actually is kind of the selling point of this title. As you can see, it has the rubies and more diamonds and jewels kind of surrounding it. It's a very unique center plate in the sense that this right here is just leather. So it's kind of like the metal plate is kind of like an outline almost, and it's not, as you can obviously see with the older heavyweight championship and all previous championships, it's not just like one big metal plate. Like, I mean, it is, but it's got these huge gaps in it that you can actually see the back of the leather through, which is a very interesting design. Obviously, they've mimicked that in a lot of other championships since then, but this was one of the first ones to actually do that, which is kind of interesting. But again, just absolutely decorated with jewels. Moving over, we have the mirrored sidebar, and then of course the mirrored side plate over here. On this side, I have an Undertaker side plate again. Just a personal favorite wrestler of mine, one of the greatest of all time, I think. So again, we can't really count that toward the overall design of the championship, obviously, because this could be anybody's side plate here. But again, I think something with color on it really makes it pop a lot more. So really nice. Obviously, just the jewels around the side plate are really well done. And then, of course, we are going to come to this side of the leather strap. A lot of nice tooling here with the logo again. And then we are going to come to the female snap box, which is a 2x5 standard on this side, sewn on. I think all the snap boxes on these championships are sewn on style versus embedded, which is a little bit of an older style as well, but it works. And then, of course, we come to the end of the belt here, which is the nice golden belt tip. This is like the standard flat golden belt tip, which I personally like. I think it really works for this title. And it's really just nice. It kind of gives like an added flair of prestige to the end of the championship here. So, but yeah, that pretty much covers it. So if we zoom out here and we go to look at both of our championships once more, there they are. And so now we have to kind of decide which one we like better. So I'll be honest with you guys. Of all the title belts in my collection, choosing a winner between these two has always been the most difficult for me because they both have their pros, they both have their cons. So aesthetic-wise, I would say I want to give that win to the old school heavyweight championship. The designs are much more detailed, they're much more intricate. It's a much more elaborate design than the newer championship, because like I said, it is basically just a giant logo at the end of the day, versus on the older championship we have all these crazy designs that are really beautiful. One thing that I will say that like I had said before is in the size, weight, and feel department, I have to give that to the newer championship, just because it is a little bit smaller, but the weight is just a little more proportional because those plates are a lot thicker, and I guess I didn't really show that with the center plate, but so we'll go back down and take a look at that. But yeah, as you can see, that center plate is a lot thicker as well than the center plate on the older championship. So honestly, that's a big plus for me. Although I will say it's not as much of a knock on the older championship as it could be, just simply because the overall size kind of makes up for it. So the belt tip, obviously, as I had mentioned, we give that win to the newer championship because the belt tip is a big plus for me. It's interesting because, so from a tooling perspective, obviously the tooling on the strap, I think on the newer championship is probably better because there is really just this kind of blank area on the older championship, versus on the newer one, there's actually more going on there. And so the customization options kind of break even, in my opinion. I would actually almost give the edge to the older championship there because, as you guys know, while I don't hate the side plate system, I think that it really does take away potentially awesome designs from the title, because you're sacrificing all this awesome design that you could have on these side plates for basically just a wrestler name or logo. So that is kind of a negative to me. So yeah, overall, it's really, really hard to pick a winner between these two, honestly, because they both have pros and cons to them. I would say if I was pressed, I would have to say the older one has to take it, I think, just purely from a design standpoint, because the elaborate design on that older championship is just so incredible, and there's just so much detail on those plates and design. Not that there's not detail on the newer belt, because there is, but like I said, it's a different kind of detail. It's a basic design, but it's just decked out as much as possible. It's just blinged out as much as it can be, versus the older championship. And this is kind of a reoccurring theme, I think, with a lot of the older championship belts, is that they just have more elaborate, intricate, interesting designs to them, generally speaking. So if I was pressed, I would have to give the advantage to the old heavyweight championship once again as well with this one. But I obviously own both of these for a reason. I think they're both very nice title belts, and I'd say you can't go wrong with either one of them. So I think that's going to do it, guys. And like I said, this is actually the last one of these videos for me where I compare and contrast older and newer versions of title belts. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little mini series that I had for you. And yeah, looking at these collectible items here, I hope it was a fun ride for you guys. But definitely let me know in the comments section of any of these videos, really, what's your favorite replica belt design and why. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new videos in the future. So that's it, and we'll see you next time.